So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Steve Gerrard, he's big and he's fucking hard. He's better than Remy Gard. Steve Gerrard. Steve, brilliant. Win, guys, we're here to talk about a win. As you can see, still celebrating after our win yesterday. Aston Villa 2, Brighton 0. Steve Gerrard gets off the schneid in his very first game. First time that a Villa manager has won their opening Premier League game since John Gregory in February 1998, and couldn't be happier. And as you guys may have noticed, there's 3 people on the screen here. And before we get any further, I'm delighted today to announce Adam Slack from the Struts, the internationally renowned famous band, the Struts, is here with us today, and he's going to talk to us about Steve Gerrard's very, very first win. Adam, how are you doing? And welcome to the podcast. We're absolutely delighted to have you on.
Oh, thank you, mate. It's an honor to be here, so thank you for having me, and I'm good. Yeah, I'm buzzing, to be fair, after yesterday.
It's absolutely amazing, Adam, because I thought the only person that would have ever shared the stage with Victoria's Secret's models that would have in a podcast would have been Paddy, but it turns out that you come on the podcast as well. For anybody who doesn't know, you can find that video on YouTube where the guys play a set with Victoria's Secret's models. It's actually quite good, and the music is brilliant as well.
Thank you. Yeah,
Paddy, how are you doing today as well, Paddy?
I'm good. I'm tired, but good. I'm buzzing since yesterday. Absolutely buzzing. We were 18 hours on the road from leaving Limerick at 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday to getting back at just after 11 last night, just in time to get a cup of tea and watch Match of the Day. So fell asleep during Match of the Day. So as to be expected, I was so bloody tired, but well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. And I promised myself I wouldn't do those day trips ever again, but needs must when you get a new manager and you're expecting a bounce. So I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, and just Stephen will be getting his provisional license soon anyway, so he can drive from then on, and all you have to do is sleep in the car from the way down. So that would be great. That'd be great. So yeah, guys, look, as I say, 2-0 Aston Villa, and looking up, I suppose, again, first win since, what did I say it was last time, Paddy? 29th of September when we beat. Was it 29th of September? Was it when we beat Manchester United? And I suppose, Adam, I'm going to come to you first. Obviously, there was a lot of excitement about the game building up because for obvious reasons. But when the team sheet was announced, did you think that there was anything maybe a small bit odd about the team sheet, or was it maybe business as usual for you? And what was your kind of initial feelings even before kickoff happened?
Well, like listening to podcasts and stuff, and then checking out what Gerrard done at Rangers, I knew that they played with like 2 number 10s kind of thing. So when I saw that Ollie Watkins and Danny Ings were on it, I thought, oh, finally, because everyone been saying that is Ollie Watkins going to go out on the wing. Now we got Danny Ings. So when I saw the team sheet, I was like, oh, that's probably going to be the case then, which was cool. And I wasn't sure. I mean, obviously he got the goal, it was great, but when he was out on the left, I wasn't sure how. It wasn't. I don't think he had the best game for like the first half anyway. But no, I thought the team sheet was good. I thought Ramsey had a good game, but no. And Buendia, I don't think is really kicked off yet, has he? Bless him. But no. But no, I thought it was nice to see that formation and the difference. Definitely a different style of play to what we've been used to with Dean Smith, which was a nice welcome change, to be honest. There were glimpses of Dean Smith that I thought, like in the first half, like when they had like the possession more, and I see Tyrone Mings just knocking it forward from that. I was like, oh, not
again. And the fans actually gave him a bit of stick about that. I think at one stage they didn't. Or there's one instance, I think, where he kind of looked up, but maybe he was going to try and play it out of defence, and then he just langered it up the field as far as it was going and went out over the line, out for a throw-in or whatever. And I know the Brighton fans were trying to get at him, but I think that's a fair synopsis. I think that you said that there were lots of glimpses of the Dean Smith era there, and I suppose really it's interesting because how much time would Gerrard have had to actually spend with the players, considering some of them only got back late on Thursday nights. So, but the green shoots of a new system were there for sure. And Paddy, you being in the stadium yourself, how did you feel how were the people around you reacting to the game as the game was going on? What was the reaction in stadium?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'm giving a fair synopsis. There's a few people around me that would be complaining if we were 6-0 up. So they're the same every week when I'm there, so they're never happy. It wasn't the greatest of performances, but the one thing that I took out of it, even if you discount the last 10 minutes of the game, is the work rate, is the press, is the intensity of people's play. You mentioned Buendia there, and something you wouldn't have seen on TV because obviously he's not focused on him. That guy put in one hell of a shift. Now, he didn't do an awful lot with the ball, but he put in one hell of a shift. And to be fair, I couldn't pinpoint anybody that didn't. I thought Jacob Ramsey was absolutely incredible. The work rate from him, I think he's the future. He's going to be the future in that system, if that's how he continues to play it. For such a young guy, he's such a clever set of shoulders on him. He just picks the right option 9 times out of 10. He's going to be a brilliant player.
Yeah, and you mentioned Buendia as well, and that's an interesting one, Paddy, because if I was to sit here and you were to say who do I think, maybe didn't bring their full A game yesterday, and who do I think was possibly a passenger, I would have said Buendia. And Watkins probably in the first half, I don't think, showed up. So it's interesting when you're there and you can see all the effort he does. And I suppose, look, I'm going to be really honest. I was tainted because the camera shone in on him again. And it's not the first time. It's not the second time. It's probably the third time that he's been taken off and he's thrown a little hissy fit on the sideline. Maybe that's his thing. Maybe that's just him being annoyed at himself.
In fairness, I think he's annoyed at himself yesterday. Definitely
maybe
seemed to be annoyed at himself. So, fair play to him. I've nothing but praise for him yesterday. I know he didn't get involved in the play, but it was a pleasure to watch the effort that he put in. I enjoyed watching him, because especially in the second half when he was perceived to be running out of steam. Even for the last 5 minutes before he came off, he was busting and good to get around that pitch. In fairness to
him, it's an interesting one. I suppose. Really, like it's one thing that we don't have too much of visibility on. As you guys know, I like my stats. I like to just look at them, try and confirm what my eyes have seen as well. But one of the things I don't have, and if anybody out there that's listening knows of any website that carries the distance covered for people during games, please let me know, because I would be really, really interested in that for sure. Adam, talk to me about when you were watching the game yesterday, like the midfield itself. I'm going to say my initial kind of thought on the midfield yesterday was, and we've all alluded to it, we've probably, you've mentioned Ramsey and Buendia, Paddy, but the midfield itself seemed to have, it was more congested midfield. I thought we created a more congested midfield and we forced them to go wide, and that guy Mordor, or whatever his name was, the fella from Lord of the Rings, playing out on the left hand side, and obviously Lamptey on the right hand side. They were their out balls, I think, in those instances there. But
yeah,
what did you make of that kind of midfield triangle? I'm almost going to call it yesterday. Was it something that you felt was a bit different, or what were your feelings on that?
I think this passing was just quicker in general. I felt like, especially for like the first 10 minutes at least anyway, like just getting forward quicker. I thought McGinn had a great game. Some of the balls he was playing, it was just like unreal. I thought it was kind of weird because when they had it on the wings, they kind of, the three, like McGinn and Ramsey, would go out and help like Matty Cash and Matt Target out. And the Camber just kind of literally just sat in front of the back four, didn't he? I thought he did great. Yeah. I think just let them have it when it was in the defence. And as soon as they came forward, it kind of went out. And then, Lamptey just has pace for days, isn't he? So that was, like you say, their get out. But I thought it looked good. I thought it looked compact and looked just actually hard to beat. I don't think really Brighton had a couple of like chances in the first half. But like overall, compared to what, when we'd win games, usually they'd have a lot of chances, and Martinez would be getting a lot of saves off and, blocks. But they didn't really have that much going And I think it's just, the midfield seems stronger. I still think there's a way to go, but no, better. And Ramsey feels like how he played yesterday reminded me of, Jack in a way. Like he was just carrying the ball, running at players, and it was nice to see. And I think they all offer something different for sure. I think McGinn got it on the wing and like crossed it from the right, left peg, and it was just like, I don't know how he played that ball, but it was unreal.
Yeah, I remember that ball as well, and it was interesting because I think definitely the first 10 minutes. So you can probably break the game down into 3 separate areas. The first 10 minutes we were pretty much on top. We had a very good start, and our midfield, for my money, and I'm hoping to put out maybe a podcast on or a video review on Tuesday of how we set up tactically. Once I get 5 minutes to myself, I'm going to try and put something out because I did find it really interesting, and specifically first 10 minutes and then the next 70 minutes were completely different, because what happened was what I found happening in that midfield area was that we did play with 2 6s. We had McGinn and we had McCamba. McGinn actually got a bit more forward in the first 10 minutes, almost sat on top of Bissouma if Bissouma came to the right hand side. If not, he was kind of there playing as a spy. So when the ball went to Bissouma, they kind of crowded him out a small bit. As after the first 10 minutes, it was a case whereby he kind of withdrew a small bit more, and so did Ramsey. So as you're dead right, Adam, and Ramsey and McGinn both kind of played as, I'm not going to say wide midfielders, but they were a bit wider to allow our fullbacks to go forward, and they kind of filled those half spaces there as well. And what that allowed, and what happened there was that Buendia was, I think Buendia was supposed to stay more centrally to sit on Bissouma, but it didn't happen. And I think that happened a small bit more after the half. The Buendia kind of came to drifting more into the centre to sit on Bissouma, because Bissouma did get a bit of a stronghold in that game, and he did start to pass an awful lot of games, and awful lot of balls. And I think that he was, I know a lot of people say Lamptey would have been Brighton's best player yesterday, but Bissouma, I think for me, got in the ball an awful lot, and he did an awful lot with it. But it was interesting for me to see that there was almost 2 systems set up in midfield, because much and all as we love Dean Smith, and we absolutely do, and we will continue to hear in this podcast at least, that it was very much a case that their midfield would be set up in minute 1 would be the same setup as it was in minute 90, or at least to the naked eye there wouldn't be any too discernible kind of differences as well there. So it's really interesting, and you know what, you have to be kind of excited as well, because with Douglas Luiz being out and Nakamba coming in, and Nakamba doing the job that he did yesterday, and lest we forget that for our first goal, Nakamba gets the block in, from that cross. Nakamba gets the block in and makes its way to Ashley Young, and the ball gets played forward, and Watkins finishes with a great finish. So, like, I think he's had a nice little audition, I think, for Steven Gerrard, and obviously it's better to have people like that maybe are looking to stamp their name on the team sheet, with the likes of Douglas Luiz to come back in, and obviously with Sanson on the bench and so on as well. So it was really interesting part of the midfield for me yesterday, the midfield, the midfield 3 for sure, and to see how they went and how they played. Paddy, can I ask a question to you as well about what was about Matty Targett? Because obviously he's been a man who has copped a little flack, I suppose, from everybody. Everybody, I think. This year he's been, I'm not going to say public enemy number 1, but he's obviously been a player that's been down in his luck, a player that hasn't performed as well as he did last season. What was the sentiment towards him in the stadium yesterday?
Well, I think everyone was delighted that he had upped his game. I thought it was his best game of the season for us. He looked solid. He looked back to what we know he's capable of. I'm hoping that's not just a one-off, because we bloody need him, because we're short in that department. And when we saw he went down injured, people were genuinely upset. They were like, "Oh my God, we could do without this now," And then we saw Ashley Young warming up and Ashley Young coming on, and we were expecting to see number 3 on the board, and it wasn't. And everyone was like, "Oh, thank God, he's okay to continue." So it was blatantly obvious that Gerrard sees Ashley Young in a more attacking role than a fullback. So I'm hoping that continues for a long time as well. But in fairness to him, he had a really good game. You know, it needs to be said. We've said in the past when he hasn't had a good game and whatever. And just before you gloss over, I thought Nakamba was excellent. And the one thing I took out of what the midfield were told, they were told not to play on the ball. They win back the ball or get the pass and then give it. There was no messing about in the middle of the park. It was all about getting the ball, winning it back, and then giving it off and letting someone else do the work. There was no stupid giving the ball away, overplaying it, taking one touch too many. And I think that's what they focused on yesterday as a midfield three.
And that's actually a good point, because I have written down here. It's like a game of countdown here. Sometimes with me, I've got a piece of paper here, and some of them I've finished what I was writing on them, and other pieces I haven't. And you know the way in countdown when they get the numbers and if they try and make the numbers add up to whatever the number is, and then they say, "Yeah, I think I have it here, but I haven't written down." Anyway, sorry, that's me going off on a tangent. Once again, I'm going to blame lack of sleep there. But when you look at the dribble statistics yesterday for Aston Villa, they're down game on game, week on week, year on year from the average of what the dribble statistics. Now, obviously, I know that Jack Grealish has departed, and that would be a massive carrier of the ball. But even like in that game yesterday, like our number one carrier of the ball was Ollie Watkins or Matty Cash. So they're the people that dribble the ball the most, and they only dribble the ball 3 times each in the game. Leon Bailey comes on here, he does it once. So the introduction of triangles in that midfield, as you mentioned, Paddy, and get the ball, play it off, and you could see that there was a lot of round the corner passes, there was a lot of triangulation going on, and I thought that was really good to see. But what it did do was it played Danny Ings slightly out of the game, I thought. And it's going to be really interesting. And there's a comment here now in a moment that I'm going to get to, because I'm going to get some of the comments that the lads have been sending in here. But there was a comment in here that you can see that obviously Steven Gerrard didn't have his full stamp on that game yesterday. But it's going to be interesting to see what he does, because Danny Ings was quiet, and he didn't do much, and he didn't get many touches of the ball, and we couldn't get the ball to him, and we could and I don't know that the position suit him he was playing in, from the simple fact that maybe he wasn't coming deep for the ball, or maybe he was coming too deep for the ball at some stages. So be interesting to see how they refine that role there. And I think
that's a lot more. I think it's a lot got to do with who he was up against as well. There was 3 Burley centre half there, marshalling him very well. And bear in mind, he only came back from interview or from injury recently, so he obviously wasn't firing on all cylinders either, which is why he was taken off first, I would imagine. But he'll come good. He was working hard. I could see he was working hard. He was just having no joy against those 3 big lads.
Like, he was taken off in the 66th minute, and he had 18 touches, and Leon Bailey came on in the 66th minute. So 90 minus 66 leaves you what, Paddy? 23 minutes, 24 minutes, even. So Leon Bailey had 16 touches in those 24 minutes. See, once again, this is educational more so than anything else, this podcast. I've been talking about countdown, and I'm doing mental arithmetic. It's an all-encompassing type of podcast, this one is. But Leon Bailey came on, he had 16 touches of the ball. And Ashley Young came on the 74th minute, and Ashley Young had 16 touches of the ball as well. So it's just going to be an interesting one to see. And like, when you look at, and obviously they dictated possession, Adam, and you kind of mentioned that they have more possession there as well. Like, their centre halves, 2 of their centre halves, Duncan Webster had 126 touches of the ball yesterday. 126 touches of the ball. Our 2 centre halves combined.
This all goes back to that possession figure as well. That doesn't tell the story of the game, that possession figure, because all of those touches
each other
are probably, it's the back 4 passing, or back 5 passing the ball around to each other to look for a little gap. And we were quite happy to let them have the ball and reorganize and then press, which was fine. But that's that stat of possession that just doesn't wash with me.
And like, because what I was saying there is that so Webster had 126 touches. Mings and Konza together. Konza only had 36 touches in the whole game. 36 touches. So, like, when you think about it, Mings and Konza together had 57 and 36. By my reckoning, that's 93 touches that they had together. Shane Duffy had 95. Shane Duffy, his feet barely hold him up. Never mind passing the ball. Shane Duffy had 95 passes. So, look, 95 touches of the ball. So, it's a real interesting one that I suppose we're obviously going to see more from this tactically as the whole kind of plan unravels. And hopefully it will do over the coming days and weeks and months, and we'll continue to rock it up the table. Just a quick one there as well, guys. I'm just gonna go through a couple of comments, and welcome to all the Struts fans. Absolutely delighted to have you here to see Adam. And there are some comments in here too. We're going to try and convert you into being Aston Villa fans as well, which would be fantastic. We've got some people here from Turkey. So John Gameson, greeting Ireland from Turkey. And also we've got British Mick is there and Dudley as well. Great to have you on board, guys, as well. The C's, say hey, Adam. You can wave back if you to see you. Ed, good to see you, man. Never misses a stream. He says it's a great win today, or a great win yesterday as well. We must be the number one podcast in Turkey, lads, at this stage. 2 people in Turkey. You wait for a Turkey person to come along, 2 come along at the same time. Everybody's welcome. Thanks so much for tuning in, Jason. So British Mick says, one thing I would say is the performance wasn't at the level the fans wanted, but the right level it needed to be. I saw a team that was solid and more importantly structured and all giving 100%. And that's a comment I wanted to show, because I thought it was it was a structured performance for sure. So if someone was to ask me, was it a brilliant performance? I would say it was a brilliant result, but I think it was a good structured performance, and I think there was. I think we were sent out there to be compact in midfield, as I say, and I think that helped us. That helped us to look to nullify some of where they wanted to get. Getting Gross, getting Lallana, getting Trossard on the ball. That's not what we wanted. We wanted to nullify them, push it wide, because we're not the worst at defending crosses from out wide, as long as they're not set pieces.
The key thing for me in that sentence is the last few words. They all given 100%. It's the first time in a long time I felt that everybody gave 100%, even down to El Ghazi that came on in the last few minutes. I don't know whether you could see it on the telly. A ball went into a corner at one stage, and the old El Ghazi, I felt, would have turned his back on it and let him try and kick it around him. But he horsed into it, got a block on him, and out for a throw in. And Ashley Young ran about 20 yards to say to him, "That's what we want from you. That's exactly what we want from you. You need to keep that going." And, you could see leadership skills in Ashley Young, but for me, it was one of the biggest cheers of the night was to see El Ghazi make that challenge at the end. It was brilliant.
For you to say that, Paddy, that's Kool-Aid drinking. That means, whoa. We've been here before a podcast at some stage, and I've gone, Paddy, get it out now in El Ghazi, because we can't have you say what you really feel about him on the podcast, because they'll shut us down. Because so it's well known, well documented that Paddy and El Ghazi wouldn't have each other on Christmas card lists from time to time. But that is great to see that you're slowly but surely being turned around, Paddy. That's fantastic. Because look, there is a player in there, as I've always said, he's diet Cristiano Ronaldo in the way he plays. He's an upright runner. He's tall. He's got he's got a wicked shot in him when it goes on target and stuff. It's just he does everything maybe about 65% of the level that Ronaldo does, but he has that type of play style about him. You can see he said it himself. That's who he models his game on, and he even tries to run like him. They're both run kind of upright or upright runners. They run very much from their hips and from there's bits and pieces in there. Is he ever going to be an absolute world beater at 26, 27, I think is what he is now? I'm not quite sure, but can he be somebody that can contribute? Like, can he get 10 goals a season for us like he did last season? Let's see, and hopefully he can. And we've written him off before, and he's gotten 10 goals in the season. So if El Ghazi can start chasing people around and maybe coming back for the ball and playing in that number 10, that inverted winger role, all the better. If we don't need to buy players, and we have people that are there that fit into Gerrard's system, well, then all the better for us, because it's sometimes the better things are sitting under your face, sitting under your nose, even under your face, I swear. About here somewhere. Can't see that. Anyway, another comment here. Tyrone Mings and Matt Targett were outstanding, and yes, I want to get to that as well, because it was a toss-up for me between the two of those about who man of the match was. I thought Matty Targett was brilliant yesterday. He's up against a tricky customer. He was up against his worst nightmare. He was up against somebody who or a type of player that he struggles with year in, year out. And he looked he looked pretty stable, and he marshaled him into good positions. And because he wasn't 60 yards up the field bombing on like a fullback, he was able to be in positions to kind of jockey him towards the sideline, jockey him towards the end line, and get him to cross the ball in as well. Am I over effusive in my praise of Matty Targett, Adam, or was that something that you saw? Did you see a more improved player there yesterday?
Yeah, it's like the Matt Targett of last season, really. I thought it was incredible. The challenges, like, Lamptey's rapid, and I wouldn't say he looked comfortable because he was a threat, but no, I thought he was much improved compared to the Watford game on the day one. He's feels like he's back to himself, and probably the new manager, and he's had the international break. I think the last interview we saw was after the Southampton game, but just said it wasn't good enough. You could really see it in his face, like he knew that he hadn't been performing. And I think probably the international break came at a good time. New manager, and now he's probably hopefully can kick on from here now.
Yeah.
I felt they should have rolled him out and did the interview at the end as well, because it would have been nice to compare the two interviews between yesterday and Southampton, because he looked a completely different man.
Yeah.
Like let's not forget that, for portions of last season, people like Villa fans were saying, how is Luke Shaw getting in the England squad ahead of maybe not Luke Shaw, but how is X player getting in the England squad ahead of Matty Targett? And it was Matty Targett for England as opposed to Matty Cash for England or Poland, as the case is now. But so you don't just become a bad player overnight, and you don't have a fluky season over the course of a full 38 games. So there is something, once again, just like we were saying about El Ghazi, there's something in there with Matty Targett, and if he can get it fixed. Obviously, I do still think that we should bring in competition for him. I think we should bring in competition on both flanks, both full back positions, and I think we need to bring in at least one, if not two more midfielders for competition. But Matt Targett is a very serviceable Premier League footballer, and if he can improve on what he did yesterday, then I'll be delighted for him as a person, because, as you say, he looked broken after the Southampton game. He really, really did. And Tyrone Mings, what a finish! What a finish. Like, that ball comes to him at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he just swings a right foot at it. How many times do we see those? Like, they end up halfway over to St. Andrews, like, some of the times, if he doesn't catch it clean. And he knew it. The second he hit it, he knew he'd scored. He ran off celebrating a la Alan Shearer. Brilliant.
He tried
I was thankful that the net was there, because that ball was heading straight from my face the way he hit it. So we were right in line with it, so he could just the minute it left his boot, it was just euphoria. There was absolute limbs everywhere all over the whole thing. It was unbelievable. I haven't seen scenes like that now in a while, so I enjoyed it, probably since we beat the Blues the last time, maybe. Because we had that the COVID season, we'll call it, where we weren't very good. So it was just to see grown men like nearly in tears, thinking that the good days are back, and it's our new manager, great reception. Like, it was just an outpouring of emotion when that second goal went in. Like even after the first one, I felt, okay, we've seen this before, we'll throw this away. But when the second one went in, the roof nearly came off the place. It was absolutely brilliant.
Excellent.
It's like a sigh of relief, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was like a sigh of relief. Yeah, 100%.
He's gotten the bug for scoring goals after scoring against San Marino as well, and that was a fair finish against San Marino too. That was a brilliant header. That was one of the better goals that England scored that night of the 10. But fair play to him. Look, as I say, captain material. Gerrard kept him captain for a reason. For now, actually, that's kind of what I got from the interview that Gerrard did. He said, well, he's captain for now, and he has to, just like everybody else, he has to play up to the mantle of being captain. And I think, and we'll get on to speak about Gerrard specifically and just little things about him that I just really liked. We'll get on to talk to him about him in a moment. But first, we're just going to go back to some of the comments here. AVFC US says, Buendia runs around like a headless chicken, unwilling to play simple passes, incapable of shielding the ball, and he pouts in the field too. And you know what? I can't really disagree. I can disagree with the headless chicken part, because I think that's his game. He's a small player, and I think his game is to be there. He's a press player, so I can understand why he does this. But I do have concerns about him shielding the ball. And I do have concerns about him, about some of his pouting on the field too, as we mentioned there. So it's some valid points there. I think we still have the best years yet to come, should I say, of Buendia too. And Hookah SC says, I think he was frustrated rather than pissed he was taken off. I think he wants to kick on and isn't happy with being a passenger. And you know what? Absolutely, it could have been exactly like that, because I think, you know, he's probably a very passionate player, and I think a lot of Norwich fans and the Norwich guys that we had on afterwards said he wears his heart in his sleeve, and that like he's a red card in him, you know. So he's a fiery individual. So it's probably just his way about him, and I think that's probably okay too. Kieran O'Callaghan, good to have you on board, Kieran. He thought Villa Park felt very nervous yesterday till we scored. Then it became hot. It could have ended up 3 or 4-0 in the end. I actually agree. I think it could have ended up 3 or 4-0 in the end as well, because I said it on Twitter. Ashley Young, I apologize profusely to you, because before the game I kind of was saying that I certainly didn't want to see him in the fullback positions, and I was saying that a push I might play him out in one of the 10 positions, and then he comes on midfield and I won't say ran the show, but he was a steadying influence when he came on in there. He kept control of the ball. He played that ball through to Watkins for the goal, and fair play to him. I thought he was really, really good. And you know, for a substitution that when Dean Smith made it against West Ham, and granted we were down to 10 men, it was rudimentarily panned across the board because of the impact it had. When he came on yesterday, whatever his role was that he was asked to come on in, he just seemed to be a bit more involved and a bit less, a bit less kind of run aroundy. If that's not a word, but once again, I'm saying it because I can't think of anything else. So he had a bit more of an impact in the game for sure. I absolutely believe that. Paddy, like you said as well, Ramsey was magnificent yesterday. He covered the left side and created a defensive trifecta with Matty, I presume that is, and Mings, which was great stuff. Yeah, I think Ramsey's our player of the season so far, or definitely our young player of the season so far anyway. I absolutely think that. Just gonna I'm losing track of all the comments here, so apologies if I miss anybody's comment there, guys and girls that are watching there. So Alfie says that Buendia needs his confidence back. Stevie G and Beale will give him that. I think he's too good not to improve, in my opinion. And yeah, we've said something similar to that. Once this team gets used to playing those triangles in midfield, I think that he will be more of an option there. I do think he does need to get used to people coming from behind him, as in, you know, I'm not even going to say shielding the ball, but just being cute about it. Bruno Fernandes can't shield the ball to save himself, but he gets freeze every time someone comes at him when he's trying to play those little round the corner passes. And I think Buendia can be cuter in that aspect too as well. Stephen Wright is in Finland. Excellent. I'd say is it very dark in Finland at this time of year, Stephen? Comment in the comments below.
Judging by Stephen's guitar there, I reckon it's you that brought him here, Adam.
Oh, maybe so indeed.
Subham Gamers, one of Target's biggest fans. He thought he played very, very well yesterday. Yeah, as I said, Target is somebody I think that can hold his head up after his performance yesterday. And he also asked, is Guilbert still on loan or did we sell him? He's on loan at Strasbourg. I am reliably informed by my own mental capacity that I think it's Strasbourg that he's with at the minute. But whether we see him back or not, I don't know. I suppose all slates are wiped clean now, so might see him back at some stage. But he's living it up in the south of France. So more power to him wherever he is at the moment. British Mix-It makes a great point here. Brighton's retention of the ball was good enough to outpossess Liverpool, but ball retention is pointless with no end product and also stifles the game, which was their intention. And Paddy, when we were doing the team sheet tantrum, I thought that Potter was going to come for a draw and hope maybe, and if the opportunity came up to win, obviously that the team would be there to take it. And I thought that they would pass it around between Basuma and the three centre halves. So, next question, I suppose, for you, Paddy, is let's say Graham Potter was manager of Aston Villa and he rocked up and he started playing those tactics at Aston Villa. How long do you think before people would be saying, holy shit, I didn't need this. I don't need to be watching my centre halves pass the ball around amongst each other. And plus three at the back. You know, so when look, Potter's obviously done a great job. You know, that possession-based football that he plays sometimes can, you know, it can be difficult to break down a low block with it, and I suppose it's important to play in different ways.
Yeah, and I've no doubt in my mind, and even if you look at the substitution on 80 minutes, that was he felt he had a chance to go and nick a goal, and as it turned out, all it did was leave them a little bit more open, and we went and scored 2. So I thought for 80 minutes they were very passive. They were just keeping the ball. They didn't try too hard to find the penetration. If it came kind of by accident, they were taking it and hoping to get something out of it. They seem to be getting themselves into positions to try and kick the ball off fellas to go out for corners so the big fellas can come up and head it. So yeah, it wasn't exactly how I'd like to see Aston Villa playing football. So I'm kind of happy that we have Steven Gerrard and not Graham Potter. Plus he's a blue nose, so I have absolutely no love for him at all.
There was this thing where they were saying he was, and then he wasn't, and then he was a Villa fan, and then he was a blue. Yeah. I didn't know whether there was any consensus on that.
I have a go-to man in Birmingham that tells me all these things, and he's never wrong, and he reckons he's a blue nose, so that's good enough for me.
He works in the census office in the he's able to get all that info. Rod, thank you so much, Rod, and thanks as always for tuning into the podcast. Really, really appreciate it. That means an awful lot to us. And Rod says specifically to you, Paddy, thanks for the live stream from the ground yesterday. I felt like having a friend at the game for those of us who can't get there. Cheers.
Cheers, Rod. My pleasure.
It's
great being.
That's class.
I'm always when it happens, I'm sitting there looking over my shoulder that someone's going to be ousting me out of the stadium, and that's the worry. But nobody has said anything yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I was doing it while the game kicked off, it might be a different story.
Yeah. The FA will shut us down because we're stealing their rights. After they signed a massive deal with. Oh God, it's just after running out of the back of my mind there now. Was it NBC? Was it what was it? Was
NBC
it NBC or something?
NBC, yeah.
NBC. Yeah, and it's actually an interesting deal whereby the winners of the league get more of the pot than it's an aggregated pot. Yeah. So like wherever you finish in the league is the TV money is divvied up based on where you finish on the league, which to me is a bit Super League-y for my liking, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a bit European Super League for my liking. Adam, interesting one for you here as well. The British Mix says here, I've done nothing but slag Ollie off. I'd gladly get humble pie if he continues in this vein. I think a lot of opinions formed under Dean Smith will change under Steven Gerrard as we'll see better performances. And I think what I want to take from that is, who in your mind will we see perform either better, and I'll let you pick whichever one you want to pick, either better or worse under Steven Gerrard, maybe somebody that kind of just fitted what Dean Smith wanted to do, but might be the odd man out under Steven Gerrard. Who would be your guy?
Well, it's funny because I think you were saying this on podcast yesterday or the other one, I can't remember when it was, and I thought Ollie Watkins, because I thought they're not going to not play Danny Ings, but now obviously he's playing on the left. Gerrard thinks he can do it, so I wouldn't say that now. Trying to think. I think obviously improving wise, Ramsey's just, I think, if your coach is arguably one of the best midfielders of all time, you can only get better really, and he's young and stuff. I mean, because I don't know. I think he's invaluable with his pressing, and Danny Ings has obviously always got goals in him. I think it would be interesting to see if Traore and El Ghazi come back. I feel like they're always going to kind of be like the impact subs kind of thing. I can't see them starting ahead of Watkins or Danny Ings. And I think Buendia, they spent that much money on him, they have to just keep playing him until he kind of hits the kind of form that he had before. No, I say and then Ramsey's just going to improve, and McGinn, and see who he brings in January. That'd be interesting because I think it sounds to me like from one of the interviews he said, "Yeah, I'm going to work with what I've got at the moment till January." So I think he's obviously going to get backed. So that'd be interesting.
I think you've mentioned a forgotten man there in Traore. I think he's going to be like a new signing when he comes back because he can play in either of those roles as well in that kind of inside forward. That's looks like it's going to be created by Gerrard. So, as time goes on, we will have better options to spring from the bench, especially in January because he's bound to bring in one or two as well, and maybe one or two will go out. It'll be interesting to see. But Traore, who I'd completely forgotten about till you said it there, will probably benefit from this if they can shoehorn him into that position.
Here from the Struts says Adam even had AVFC on his guitar picks. Could you confirm or deny that, Adam? You do? Look at that. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Here for the Struts and the money.
Villa. Yeah,
excellent.
Wherever I go, because I mainly tour in America, so I've had a few people go like, "What is this?" I'm like,
and you went,
"The best soccer team in the world."
Never come to one of my gigs again. Do your homework. This is the best soccer team in the world. always go to the Struts gigs.
Fans, so he's got one.
All right, he's an Arsenal fan. We all have our crosses to bear. It's all good. It's all good. That's cool. James Barnwell says that Graham Potter played for the Blues, but is a Villa fan. There's controversy of foot. There is controversy of foot.
I don't know.
Craig, he could have what is well known as Gardneritis, maybe. Graham Potter, whereby if he played with Blues, maybe he never said he supported Aston Villa and the like, So maybe he has that too. Who knows?
Apparently he is. I just googled it.
He is a Blue Nose, or he is a Villa fan?
He's a Villa fan.
Yeah, Google does say he's a Villa fan. Yeah. In many articles, but he's never actually said it himself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we're going to have to go on Ancestry.com and check back to see how all the rest of his family were the Blue Noses or whatever the fans. If anybody can pick up maybe a Starbucks cup that Graham Potter had, and we can get some of his DNA, we'll be able to test it that way. We'll see what the crack is with him. Just before we finish up, and Jesus, I'm only after seeing there, Adam, I never even asked you how long you could spare tonight. I really apologize, but we're here for about 40 minutes.
No, I'm well in. I'm not doing anything.
Just before we finish up, let's talk about the man in a moment, the person, I suppose, that the cameras were really, really there to see. And no, not you, Paddy, but the cameras were there to see Steven Gerrard. I'm going to go on a small bit of a soliloquy as is my way about him, but I felt that the man said something in his opening interview about how he wanted to get away from the cameras and he didn't want to be the main attraction in the draw. He wanted to learn his role and he wanted to come back, and it was about the players. And he mentioned in it as well that this is only going to work if the players buy into me, buy into he didn't say me. He said buy into what we're bringing. And I felt that he made himself very understated for the main, and he was passionate on the line, which I absolutely loved. And we've got all the mimetics that are going on there about him fist pumping and stuff like that. That's fantastic. But I think in the main, he just performed like any other manager, and he was out of the way. And the lads in the Claret and Blue podcast said a great thing, and I didn't know this because obviously I wasn't there. But Paddy, you might have seen it when you were there. Afterwards, he obviously corralled all the players, brought him down to the whole end. But he stayed back near the center, near the halfway line. And the thinking behind that was that you guys have played here. They've cheered for you. You go down and you say thank you to them. And you take all that applause for them. Because there'll be some days when they're going to want to absolutely rip your heads off because of performances you played. So take the adulation but also have the balls to go down and face them when you've not had such a good game as well. And
100%.
And it should, like to me, if that's what happened, I like that he's being that type of guy because it just goes to show that he was the ultimate team player when he was playing with Liverpool. He really was the ultimate team player. And if he's able to bring that into management, like he is doing with his massive backroom team, for me, that gets me almost as excited as anything he will be able to do. Because sometimes I think that, and this is like Dean Smith wasn't like this, but you have seen like a Jose Mourinho type, or you can name a lot of other managers like that to put themselves out in the front. I like a team. I like even a backroom team, and I like the fact that the manager is another cog in the wheel and understands modern age kind of management from that point of view. But what did you see, Paddy, and in the stadium? Was there anything maybe that we didn't quite pick up, or what was he like in the touchline, or what was he like before the game, anything like that?
Yeah, well, he seemed to be more or less just himself out on the touchline too. He wasn't constantly calling on someone else, or there wasn't constantly someone in his ear either. At one stage, the crowd, the whole den, burst into Stevie, give us a wave. And it got to the second one, and his hand went up straight away. And it wasn't even a wave; it was kind of like stop. To me, that's a measure of the man as well. That he's like, yeah, it's fine, but it's not about me. And he stopped it. Whereas you've seen managers now that could come down to concentration and everything else, where it goes on 10, 20 times, and then eventually you get a wave. So he was aware of what was going on around him. He heard them singing "Stevie, give us a wave." Up went the hand, and that was it. That was the only time it was sung throughout the game. So, I totally agree that he's all about bigging up the players. I had to rush out straight after because I was under time constraints to get to the airport. Thankfully, my good friend Billy was over from Waterford, and he had a lift arranged with an old friend of ours, Mazza. He brought us out to the airport, so we were just rushing back to his car to get back, so I couldn't stay around for the celebrations afterwards. But that was the one thing that stood, because Stephen said to me, God, he didn't last long without putting up his hand there. And I just explained that just seems to be the way he is. It's not about him. It's all about the club. It's all about the players. It's all about the people on the pitch. It's all about the fans in the stadium. So for that, I admire him for sure.
Yeah. And Adam, where do you stand on the passion on the sideline? Obviously, you can take the player out. You can take the player out of the game, but you can't take the game out of the player. Even when he's on the sideline there and he's scoring goals. I don't know about you, Adam, but I'm up for seeing a lot more of those celebrations in the sideline, and especially when things go our way.
Definitely, I think everyone was banging on about, it's a stepping stone and he just wants to be at Liverpool. But then you see the passion from him. He's just a winner, isn't he? He just wants to win football games, and you just saw that. And I think, I loved it. I was watching all stuff all over Twitter, and like after the game, like he shakes Graham Potter's hand, and then he was just like, look, as he walked away, like, yeah, beat you kind of thing. It was nice. And then no, I'm all for that. Like, I think the passion is. I always look at Mourinho and they win a game or they score a goal, and he's just sat there looking miserable, and I'm like, what? Why are you in this? No, I think it's great to see from him. And yeah, I mean, if we're a stepping stone, great, because he ain't going to get the Liverpool job if he does a shit job here. So
exactly,
this is it. And
someone made a great point to me.
Someone made a great point to me on Twitter today as well. I apologize. I know somebody who watches the streams very regularly, but they said that obviously the Man United job is up for grabs at the moment. So, like, if we've got a manager, like the great thing about Stevie G's, no, sorry, I said it. Where's the tip? Where's the jar? Where's the swear jar?
Stevie G, yeah.
The thing about Steven Gerrard is that, we can give out about, he's on a time limit to go to the Liverpool game, or Liverpool gig. But like when opportunities come up for the Spurs gig or for the Chelsea gig or for the United gig, if we're flying it, there's no way they're going to come looking for him, because they know he's going to give them two fingers, because he's going to wait for the Liverpool gig. So in a way, while everybody's saying, but sure, he'll be after Liverpool in 2 years' time. Yeah, but we could be steadfast in the knowledge that he probably won't go to Spurs or to Feckin or to United in the meantime. So swings and roundabouts, I think, with Steven Gerrard. And I actually read an interesting thing about him. It was actually on Villa Report. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like Tom. I can't remember who it was that reported it first, but apparently he made the players take mock GCSEs to improve their focus over the last week. Apparently it was kind of something that he put in there. Now, I've said that out of my mouth. If that came from a parody account, I completely and utterly have egg on my face. But I did see it somewhere, and I will find it. But I just realized, shit, I think it actually came from Fabrizio Romano, but I didn't click on it to see was it the real Fabrizio Romano. And now I'm going, as it comes out of my mouth, I'm going, That sounds a bit kind of mad, doesn't it? But I'm going to have to go back and find that now. But if he did, but it wouldn't surprise me because it was apparently an exercise in focus and seeing who could focus and see who could be given a task to do and not have much information on it and go and do it without being just one of these people that laughs and jokes and goes, I don't give a shit if it's a bad job or not. So maybe there was something in that, but hopefully I didn't get duped by a dupe account when that one was shown there, but I don't think I was. I don't think I was. Guys, we've been talking for nearly 50 minutes, and half it was me talking about countdown and talking about fake GCSEs there and stuff like that. So I do apologize for my rantiness, but like Adam, I suppose on a scale of 1 to 10, where is your excitement level between now and I suppose between now and the January transfer window? Obviously, we've got a couple of games that are going to be very, very difficult. Crystal Palace on the horizon. Then we've got Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, somebody else good in the middle of that there as well. What's your optimism level between now and the January transfer window?
We've won one game, so can't get too over the top, but I think a clean sheet and for the most part we didn't have too many chances. Well, we had quite a few, but we limited them, so that was good to see. And at the end of the day we won, which I said, because I was going to go to the game to my girlfriend, and I was like, I'm so glad we didn't bother going at 80 minutes because Brighton are very good at boring you off the pitch as well, because whenever we had momentum it was like, let's pass it around the centre half for 10 minutes. So frustrating for sure. But then obviously when the goals went, I was like, oh God, now I wish I was there. But no, I'm pretty positive. I think with the glimpses that we saw of the new kind of style of play looked great and exciting, and more of that, I'll be well chuffed. And if we can get another 3 points from Crystal Palace, is it Crystal Palace next?
Crystal Palace next, I think.
Yeah.
And then
I think if we get that, then I'll be, at the moment I'm a good 7 out of 10 excited. Well, I don't know what the rating is, but then if we win the next game, I'll be pushing 10, 9.5, and I'll be like, yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's it, yeah, and yeah, because I think the next game is very, very
away too, in it. So
it is. I think it's almost a must win in a lot of senses, because we're going to be there's going to be a week of a circus after that with Jack Grealish coming back to Villa Park. It's going to be a circus, in the fact that we play Man City then, and it's the 8:15 game as well. But the good thing, I was going to say the good thing, it's a Wednesday night. It's the 8:15 game, but Liverpool Everton are on the same time, so the Merseyside derby. So I would imagine that whoever made those fixtures is probably their boss is looking at him going, what did you do those two on the same night for, you idiot? But anyway, that's beside the point. So Paddy, what are your views? I suppose where do you come down on the next couple of games, scale of 1 to 10?
Well, my excitement level after yesterday is at a 10. There's no doubt about that. I walked out of there yesterday absolutely buzzing, and bear in mind that I'm on dry November, so it's nothing got to do with the copious amount of alcohol I usually have when I go to Villa Park. And thankfully, my next game that I go to is Man City, and it's the 1st of December. So I will have a little pub crawl in the afternoon on Wednesday week in the centre of Birmingham before I head out to Villa Park to celebrate the end of dry November and to enjoy that game at Villa Park, which I fully expect us to give them a good game. But Saturday is a big one. I think if he gets 3 points on Saturday, then the rest of the league are looking around going, we've got to worry about these guys. They've taken 2 scalps now of guys who were the surprise packages of the season, and we've gone and taken 6 points. So I think if we get 3 points on Saturday, there'll be a lot of people wary of us after that.
Yeah. Just to report, I am an absolute idiot. It was the fake Villa report and a fake Fabrizio Romano. The GCSE story is absolute nappy water, completely and utterly false. But
nappy water.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. As it was coming out of my mouth, I went, Wait a minute. This sounds absolutely. This sounds rubbish.
Not good at first impression, is it? The manager comes in like, "Yeah, can you do your math GCSE?" I feel like, "What?"
I'm going to be really honest. I'm not even sure what a GCSE even is. So there is that too. There is that for sure. But
the junior cert,
yeah. Is it the junior cert? I would have said it was the old inter cert here in Ireland for any of our listeners that are over the age of 50 or so. But yeah, so I'll be sure to click on the link to make sure that it is an actual verified link in future. Guys, I think that's going to do us for tonight. Adam, thank you so much for your time. I feel like I've robbed an hour of your life, and
no, man, I loved it. I listen to podcasts all the time when I'm walking my dog, and
excellent.
And it's nice to talk about Villa, football. It's fun. So thank you for having me.
No, absolutely, our pleasure to have you on. Really is, and we hope to have you on again in the future as well if you are so willing. And we promise we won't take an hour the next time.
I just like to say, Adam, I just like to say I'm very, very jealous because I used to have hair like yours, but as you can see, I'm follically challenged now as I got older. I miss
I'm on my way,
but
well, I'm clinging on. God, don't hide it.
Yeah, and while we are talking about hairlines and stuff like that as well, yeah, my pillow is not my friend in the mornings because I do seem to see more of it on the pillow more and more every morning now. So I'm thinking if I just don't sleep, or if I sleep standing up, then my hair will stay in. I think that's the thing. That's what's going to happen. I'm sure there's some science behind that. But no, mean it, Adam. Thank you so much for popping on. It means an absolute lot. Adam, anything going on with the Struts at the moment? So you guys. Have you anything works? I presume COVID was a killer for you guys, obviously, like it was for a lot of the entertainment industry.
Yeah. Then we did a tour, and then I ended up getting COVID on 9 shows before the end. So that was annoying, and knocked me out for sure. But we've rescheduled the dates for January, so it'll be the West Coast of America. Going to go back and do them in January. I'm just trying to think. No, there's Struts news. Not a lot I can say because it's like
I was going to say what you can say and what you can't say is completely okay. Yeah.
But we're definitely working on new music in December. Going out to Nashville. We're going to be writing some new music, and then Sing 2. This new movie that's coming out. It's got one of our songs "Could Have Been Me" in it, so that's going to be cool. Yeah, that's it.
Be sure to give us a shout now when you eventually come to play in Ireland. Make sure you give us a shout and we'll come and see you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah, tickets are all yours.
Excellent. No, that is great. And as I say, it's great to see that the entertainment industry is getting back up on its feet again, and specifically over in the States. Like you did mention that you do an awful lot of your tours and stuff like that over in the States as well. And look, to be honest with you, I was feeling sorry for you until you said the West Coast of America in January. I think I'd like to be on the West Coast of America in January as well for the sunshine. So, swings and roundabouts once again, with the lovely weather that you're going to have over there. In some parts, as long as you're not up near Seattle in January, I would imagine isn't going to be very nice weather. But as you creep down towards California, I'm sure you'll reap the benefits of the sunny climate. I'm sure for sure. Adam, I said it already, but thank you so much for popping on. Really, really appreciate it. Paddy, as always, thanks a million for breaking your neck to get over and come back and be here at 6 o'clock. We don't usually do our podcast at 6 o'clock, but as I say, it's a change from convention and one that I really liked. And to be honest with you, my better half is after putting on the heating since we started this podcast, and my face is getting more and more red as the podcast has gone on. So this is one reason why I'm trying to finish up the podcast, because I might explode with heat in a moment. But thanks a million as always, Paddy, and to everybody who watches and listens. Thanks so much to everybody who watches and listens. We're coming very, very close to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's only a small thing, as I've said 1,001 times before. It's myself and Paddy's vanity project and nothing else. But we'd love to have you on along for the ride, and 2,000 followers is subscribers, should I say, is a nice round number, and that will make me really, really happy. I think we're only like 20 or 25 away from it, so be a nice Christmas present for me if we could get there before the 25th of December. As always, as well, guys, beer52.com/love. There is an offer there that we have for $5.95 postage and packaging. You will receive 10 beers from Beer 52. Sign up to their subscription service, and monthly you will receive cases of beer also with some snacks and some magazines. And it is the world's biggest beer emporium. So I would implore anybody, if you are interested in stocking up for the future games that we have coming up, or even for the Christmas period, the beer52.com/love is your place to go with our love and with our blessings as well. So once again, Steven Gerrard 2-0, or Aston Villa 2-0. Steven Gerrard, first winning manager since 1998 under John Gregory in that famous February. Let's make it a habit of winning, and let's try and get some points on the board against some of these big teams as the next few weeks go on and on and on. But that's going to do it for us tonight.
Before you go, there's been a few people slagging me saying I was the hex that I went to 2 games and we lost.
Oh yeah.
I just like to remind people that that's over, and I was also at John Gregory's first game as well. So long may the winning continue.
There we go. 1998, exactly. Once again, whenever Paddy mentions he was at these games back in the mid to late 90s, I always go, Paddy, I was 13 in 1998. Actually, I wasn't. It was only 12. I wasn't 13 till the April in 1998. So there you go, Paddy. And you wouldn't even think it with my big Santa Claus beard, but I'm only a young fella.
I was only 6 then as well. My father brought me.
I
will leave it at that.
You're a better podcaster than you are a liar, Paddy. Put it that way. A better podcaster than you are a liar. All right, guys, thanks so much for that. We're coming up in the hour mark. Really, really appreciate it. As I said, we'll be back during the week. I'm going to try and get on Tuesday and do maybe I might even be doing it from my new podcasting layer, my new podcasting office, but might come on and try and do a tactical review of the game. And if not, we will be back with a preview of the Crystal Palace game later on in the week. Once again, thank you so much, Adam, for popping on. And thank you so much to everybody for watching. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.